She worked in silence, erased in silence. Every day she cleaned the traces of power, the smell of perfume mixed with alcohol, the crumbs of lives not hers. But one night, a drunk man collapsed at her feet, and she didn't step around him. She spoke, and when she did, the world paused. The door slammed in her face before she had a chance to move. A man in a navy suit and Bluetooth headset had barked something over his shoulder and vanished behind polished wood. Naya didn't blink. She adjusted her grip on the cart and moved forward, the quiet roll of rubber wheels echoing down the corridor, blending with distant piano music and the hiss of air vents. Her shoes tapped lightly against the tile. Always the same sound. The stain wasn't there yesterday. Near the edge of the velvet rug in the executive hallway, a dark blotch had bloomed like a bruise overnight. Naya knelt slowly, pressed her fingers to the cloth. Damp, sticky. She reached for the spray, the brush. Her arms moved methodically. Behind her, high heels clicked by, sharp like nails on glass. A man in a blazer spoke into his earpiece. "If he moves the capital, we're done," without pausing. No one looked down. In Suite 1809, the air still smelled like champagne and hairspray. The curtains were half torn from the rod, one heel embedded in the plaster wall. Makeup stains bloomed across pillowcases like watercolors. Naya gathered shattered glass with gloved hands, moving carefully around a silk scarf half soaked in vodka. On the bedside table lay a small gold pendant, delicate, twisted in its chain. She turned it over once, then set it beside the charger, neatly centered, as if someone had left it there on purpose. She was polishing the lobby desk when the receptionist came back from break and placed his tablet directly on top of her rag. He didn't notice her hand under it. "Oh, sorry," he muttered, then turned to wave at someone in heels. She stepped back, nodded once, and kept wiping. Outside, rain tapped gently against the pavement. Naya slipped through the staff entrance, leaned her umbrella against the brick wall. The same one, same angle, same small puddle catching its drip. Her coat clung to her skin. The fluorescent lights above buzzed faintly. A man dropped his travel bag near the elevators. He looked about 70, his fingers shaky. Naya reached for the strap and lifted it back into his arms. He smiled, quietly grateful. "That's very kind." From behind him, a girl, maybe his granddaughter, wrinkled her nose at Naya like she smelled something unpleasant. Naya nodded once, eyes down, and moved on. In the break room, the walls smelled of bleach and reheated soup. Two maids leaned against the lockers, gossiping between bites of crackers. "Room 2415? That guy left $100 in cash." "You serious?" "Swear on my cat." Naya wrung out her uniform over the sink. The collar was stiff. One sleeve had started to fray. She didn't want the banquet shift, but no one else took it. She carried the tray through the ballroom, weaving through tables of laughing people. A man turned too fast with his wine glass, sloshed the red liquid down her leg. "Can someone get that cleaned?" She didn't say anything, just knelt, napkin in hand, and wiped. He sat alone near the side entrance of the hotel, half slumped against the stone wall. Expensive suit, no coat. The rain had soaked through his shirt, sticking it to his chest like wet paper. People stepped around him, some glancing, most not. One bellhop paused, then kept walking. Naya stopped. She didn't touch him at first, just stood in front of him until his eyes finally rose to meet hers. Confused, childlike. His lips trembled, But no words came. She stepped under the canopy, crouched beside him. "You don't live here," she said. Her voice was soft. She hadn't heard it in hours. "But I'll walk you home." He blinked slowly. Rainwater streamed from his chin. Her hand found his elbow. He didn't resist. Through the camera at the hotel entrance, security would later review the footage. A woman in a plain uniform leading a man in a $1,000 jacket down the street. Her small umbrella tilted more toward him than her. They would watch her walk out of frame. No one had ever looked after him like that. No one had ever looked at her like that. The next morning, they called her to the manager's office. She wasn't used to this floor. Thick carpet, framed awards on the wall. The assistant kept his tone even. "You were seen with a guest last night." Naya nodded once. "He doesn't remember much. Says he lost his phone. Says a staff member helped him." They watched her. Waited. "We need to look through your things." She didn't move. Just stood, hands folded over her apron. When the manager's fingers tugged at the zipper of her bag, she met his eyes directly. No fear. Once, when she was younger, she'd watched her mother go through this. Fired without cause. Tears behind the steering wheel. But Naya hadn't been there then. Now she was. And she wasn't leaving. Later, while folding towels in the hallway, she heard the soft voice behind her. "Do you live here?" A boy, maybe 6, maybe 8, stared up at her from behind his mother's legs. She smiled. Almost. In the lobby, the man had returned, cleaner now, composed. He stepped out of the elevator and saw her passing with a stack of linens. "You," he said, surprised. "Wait." She paused. "I think we met. You helped me." "You were sitting in the rain," she said. His eyes narrowed, trying to place her. "I don't think I said thank you." "You didn't have to," she replied. "You weren't really there." He asked if he could give her something. A check. A gift. She shook her head. "I wasn't saving you. I was just there." He didn't understand. Most people didn't. Word got around. In the service hall, someone snorted. "Careful, Naya. Your rich boyfriend might get jealous." Another. "Better check under her umbrella. Probably hiding diamonds." Laughter. Paper towels tossed toward the bin. Missed. A fire alarm rang that afternoon. "False trigger," someone said. People milled in confusion. But Naya moved. Her steps were quick, her voice calm. She guided an elderly woman to the stairwell. She turned off the elevator access, directed staff to corridors. "You, cover east. You, go down 2 flights." Someone tried to argue. She didn't stop. By the time security arrived, most of the floor was empty. An old man in a bathrobe touched her elbow. "You're not management?" She shook her head. "You should be." That night, they gave her a printed certificate. Exemplary conduct in crisis response. They took a picture. Her face in frame, stiff and still. Later, as guests sipped cocktails and the lobby buzzed, the man she helped stood before the cameras. "I'm investing in this hotel," he said, "because someone I didn't notice saved it." People applauded. The GM smiled like he had thought of it himself. In the corner, by the window, Naya stood in uniform. Quiet. Watching. And for the first time, someone turned toward her and didn't look away. The phone call came just after dawn. A short ring on the service line, the kind they used when something went wrong. Naya had barely pulled her hair back when the message reached her. "Report to the 11th floor. Office of the General Manager." She wiped her palms on her slacks. The hallway upstairs smelled like leather and dry coffee grounds. No music played here. The secretary avoided her eyes as she opened the door. Inside, the air felt still. Two men sat behind the desk, one familiar from the Christmas party photo in the canteen, the other a stranger in a charcoal suit, face calm, fingers steepled. Caraway leaned forward. "You didn't take anything?" Naya shook her head. "No phone? No wallet? Nothing missing?" "No," she said. The manager looked at the security guard in the corner. "Check her bag." She didn't move, just placed her tote on the desk and stepped back. As the man unzipped it, her breath stayed even. Inside, a notebook, a pen with the hotel's name, a pair of clean gloves, a sandwich wrapped in foil. Nothing else. The manager offered a smile too wide for his face. "All clear." Caraway watched her like he was seeing a locked door he couldn't open. "I was unconscious," he said, "but I remember something. Rain. A voice." Naya said nothing. "Thank you," he added after a pause. She didn't reply, not out of disrespect, just no need. The silence stretched, thin and strange. She left the office with slow steps. Her fingers tingled, not from fear, from a quiet resolve building like pressure behind glass. That afternoon, in the staff kitchen, people stared. One of the servers raised an eyebrow. "So," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "you dating a billionaire now?" Another laughed. "Don't forget us little people when you marry into yachts." Naya stirred sugar into her tea. One turn. Two. Didn't answer. The spoon clinked gently against the ceramic. A cleaner opened her locker, found a folded note inside. "Looking for tips? Try under his mattress." She closed her locker quietly. No reaction. But something had shifted. Later, as she dusted the hallway by the executive suites, a small voice broke the quiet. "Hey," said a boy, no older than 7. He peered up at her from behind his nanny's legs. "Do you live here?" Naya paused, smiled. "Almost," she said. That evening, Mr. Caraway returned. Not through the front lobby this time, but the side elevator. He walked slower, looked more present. His coat had shoes out. The next day, someone left an envelope in her locker. Inside, a photo from the lobby camera, her holding him upright. Below it, in red ink, "Who knew gold diggers came with mops?" She tore the photo in half, dropped it in the trash. That afternoon, the fire alarm went off. Not a drill. A smoke sensor tripped in the guest sauna. Most people stood confused. The concierge froze. No one knew the evacuation protocol. But Naya did. She grabbed the mic at the staff desk, her voice calm, practiced. "North Wing, please use stairwell C. Elevators are disabled. Floor managers, check all service doors." She moved faster than security, helped an elderly couple down 2 flights, guided a blind guest with a firm hand, called maintenance to check the breaker box. Everything worked the way it should have, because someone remembered how it was supposed to. When it was over, a man in a bathrobe touched her arm. "Your staff?" She nodded. "You led that whole thing." She said nothing, but her chest rose and fell once, deeper than usual. The manager caught up with her later. "Good response," he said, handing her a certificate. "Laminated, the kind they use for birthdays and retirements. We'll be the city in the corner." And for a long moment, the room was still, like breath held. and something inside it had already begun to change. She stood in the same uniform, same cut, same weight on her shoulders. But now, they were watching her. Not just guests, not just the suits who walked the halls with Bluetooths in their ears and polished shoes that never scuffed. The staff. The ones with name tags pinned too low and shoes worn too thin. They were watching her, and the offer sat on the desk, real and waiting. Staff coordinator, it said, or as the GM had put it with a twitch of a smile. A mentor, really. You'd just be helping the others find their pace. Naya stared at the paper, no pen in her hand. I'll think about it, she said. That evening, the shift started like always. Hallway B, Suite 1213, cart, mop, gloves. But the glances came differently now. One maid nodded at her with hesitation. Another turned away, muttering, "We report to her now?" A man from security walked past and whispered, not low enough, "I don't take orders from a janitor." By week's end, one of the bellhops quit. "Not working under some maid with a speech problem," he told the others. Naya didn't say anything when they told her. She just added his name to the schedule board, crossed it out with a marker. But some things did shift. "Miss Naya," a guest asked at the front desk, pausing mid-check-in, "are you the manager here?" She smiled. "No, just where I belong." She started carrying the umbrella differently, not tucked by the staff door, but open in her hand. When it rained, she walked in through the main entrance. Her shoes left quiet prints on the polished marble. No one stopped her. Once, the doorman opened the door for her, slowly, like he didn't know why. Not because someone claps for us, but because this place doesn't run without our hands, our backs, our silence. Some looked down, some stared. The dishwasher, short, bent, half-deaf, gave a little clap when she finished. Mr. Caraway was in the lobby that week, sitting in one of the leather chairs, sipping from a real cup, not a paper one. He looked up when she passed. "You know," he said, "I didn't even know your name, not that night, not after." He paused. "You changed this place." Naya paused at the edge of the rug. "I didn't change it," she said. "I just stopped walking around it." She walked the same hallways, but now people moved aside. Not fearfully, just with recognition. She no longer pushed the cart. Others did. She checked in on them instead. Gave them gloves before they asked. Took their shifts when someone got sick. "Thank you, Miss Naya," one of the new girls said. The name sounded strange in someone else's mouth. She didn't correct her. And then small things began to ripple. The woman at the front desk began helping set up chairs for the banquet. Even when it wasn't in her job, a young cook offered the elevator to an older cleaner who had always taken the stairs. A man from maintenance left a spare water bottle beside the locker of the woman who always forgot hers. Nobody said, "This is new," but everyone noticed it. On the morning of her first official shift in her new position, Naya stood in front of the mirror in the locker room. The jacket fit close to the shoulders, the buttons unfamiliar. It was navy, not gray. No apron. She took a breath, not deep, just enough. She walked through the hotel's main hall. Someone called out a good morning. Another nodded. She paused at the elevator. In the reflection of the glass, she caught her own eyes. They didn't flinch. Later that afternoon, as the clouds began to gather again, she stepped outside. The rain had started. Light, steady. She passed the same corner where the man had once collapsed, body slack from drink and confusion. But now the corner was empty. She climbed the stairs to the landing and sat on the ledge. Coat pulled close. Umbrella closed at her side. Below, traffic hummed. Wind carried the scent of wet asphalt and cut grass. She looked straight ahead, and after a moment, she spoke. Not loudly, just enough to hear herself in the rain. "When they give you a voice," she said, "don't shout. Just tell the truth." And sat there, not waiting, just present. As if she'd always belonged there.